The day is May 28th. That is the beginning of this DreamHack Masters experience, known here in Dallas as the place that you want to be, the Lone Star State. And of course, we couldn't be doing any of this or making any of this possible without the teams, players, and everyone there within. Can't even forget the sponsors. Those guys definitely have put up in a big way. So let's go ahead and give them a quick shout out. AT&T, Chipotle, we're going to have CORSAIR, CS.Money, Esport Management. And then, of course, how could we ever forget Monster Energy for giving us all of that energy? Dallas, Texas is home to Counter-Strike. It's been here since the beginning of time, basically. Ever since it ever got its big foothold within esports. It all started right here in this little town known as Dallas. Again, thank you for joining us here at the DreamHack Masters. Live and direct 2019. You can also get involved in social media using the same hashtag DHMasters. But in the meantime, it's almost about time for us to get into some of these games and what we've got to look at. And I can't do that by myself. I could try. It wouldn't be pretty, but I brought the prettiness in with these two. We've got Chad Burchill and Jacob Vinicki to start to talk about what is the DreamHack Masters Dallas 2019.
We have to practice our yeehaws. Can you give us an example, Jacob?
Thanks for throwing me under the bus already.
Well, I thought that you would probably be the best person to really just give it a crack.
Yeah, but that was wrong, Chad. So.
Hey, but let's get it. Let's.
Yeehaw!
Okay.
Wow. All right.
There was an attempt, Chad. Now it's only fitting, I think, that you kind of give it what you're Australian.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more.
Disney, yeah.
See, it's because he put emphasis on it. He tried.
Yeah,
I didn't. So.
That's kind of how that works. Guys, we have quite a bit of matchups to go over today. In fact, 4 best of ones and then 2 BO3s. Those upper bracket semifinals will be coming in today, and we'll be determining who goes on into the arena here in Dallas, which is what everyone's playing for in the short term through the group stages.
Yeah, we've had a change in format, right? Normally at the Masters, we're doing the 4 groups in the GSL, but now we've buffed it up. We've got 2 groups of 8, and then it's a double elimination bracket. The first games are the best of ones, and then every single match from there on out will be best of 3s, including the final. So some people are best of 5 fans, some people are best of 3 fans. Best of 3, it's a bit more manageable. You can watch it in one sitting. You don't have to sit there all day.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, that will define who the better team is. And I guess, do you agree, Jacob?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a format that allows you to also mess up a little bit. You can have a slow start to the tournament and then pick your pace again. So it's a format that should secure that we get a great final and overall a great tournament.
Well, let's kind of move right into this, right? We need to take a look at some of the groups and teams involved here. There's only 2. In fact, if we take a look at the groups overall, this is how it's all kind of unfolded. You've got the likes of Liquid and FaZe Clan over in Group A. And then over in Group B, you've got Instant Energy, and then G2 and the Renegades, and therefore so on and so forth.
Yeah, I would say there's only 2 names here, and one in each group that people might not be too familiar with. That would be Lucid Dreams within Group A, and Isurus Gaming over there within Group B. Now, for the rest of the teams, you should all be relatively familiar with them, right? Obviously, right. Furia here are a team who are from Brazil. They're practicing living in North America, as far as I'm aware, and they're definitely on the up and up. I think I would probably even consider them the 2nd best Brazilian team right now.
Yeah.
And then, we're obviously, there's big emissions. We have no Na'Vi, we don't have MIBR here, and we don't have Astralis.
But don't have Astralis, Jacob. That's kind of your
you want to answer that question?
You are Danish.
Yeah, I mean...
no comment?
No comment.
Pressure.
I mean, Astralis is not here, and it's going to be fun, Another tournament without them is great fun.
Well, normally we could give you the storyline where it's, okay, Astralis isn't here, Liquid has it in the bag, but
Sure.
Liquid wins Sydney. Then they have this little thing known as CS Summit that just happens, and that did not go their way.
They're still the favorite, though, right? I think when you look at this tournament, there's 2 teams for me who, hopefully, if everything goes to plan, should be on a trajectory to meet in the grand final, and that's ENCE versus Liquid. Now, I'm not discrediting anything about the Vitality game. They obviously came out, but you heard what Nathan was saying, actually, with you guys in the post-game interview, that this tournament for them is their main focus. They wanted to come in here and really, knock something down and make a statement. Whereas Liquid, going from tournament to tournament to tournament, they're always making finals. That's kind of their standard level to hit. Getting victories on board, Sydney, Intel Grand Slam slot, that's fantastic stuff. Coming into this one, another Intel Grand Slam slot on the line. That's a lot of S's.
Slam slot.
Slam slot.
Slam slot.
But
okay,
with that, I think we might see maybe a little bit more of a focused Liquid here.
Yeah, I can kind of feel the same way. I feel like they're going to have to go back to the drawing board with some of the things that didn't work at Summit and perhaps apply some of that here. Jacob, did you take anything away?
Yeah, the thing is they don't have that time. They don't have time to go back and reinvent themselves tournament after tournament. And that is one of the things that worries me the most about this Liquid lineup is the fact that they constantly talk about themselves, how big of a challenge it is to mentally stay on top of their game. They are, as you said, the 2nd best team in the world, at least right now, and they constantly make the finals. But I see some shrinks in that armor right now, and I'm not really sure what to expect of Liquid coming into this one, because I agree with you. expecting them to be in the final, yes, sure thing. But it seems to me like they're a little bit, under the weather right now, mentally-wise, and that's one of the biggest problems Liquid have. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can stay on top of those problems and still deliver the game that we know they can.
Well, if you want to talk about, I guess, trials and tribulations, we got another team that's certainly dealing with that right now. In fact, some ESTA keeping some players out of here. Dennis, to be exact.
Yeah, coming into the US, right, obviously, to compete in tournaments, the same with Canada, same with Australia, the controls to get in for some places are relatively strict, but not normally so for Sweden. So I'm not quite sure the nitty and the gritty of why he couldn't get his ESTA approved in time. I heard stories from Lurps, for example. He's done his in the line before while entering the country. So for Dennis's not being ready to go right now, that is a bit of an issue for NIP, and it's going to suck because as far as we're aware, the first game, definitely, Pizza, the coach, will be standing in, and he made a tweet saying that the players spoke about it, and they said they wanted to go with him as the stand-in as opposed to a North American player from a different team coming in and playing with the squad.
Or you, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, Chad, you could have just
I didn't get a message.
Maybe it's in that I guess, requested message.
Oh,
maybe
yeah, you got to check that every now and again.
Yeah, you got to check that one every now and then, because otherwise you wouldn't know that they were trying to reach out. You could have been in pajamas, man.
Well, they could email me.
They could?
Yeah.
They could do that. We could also just kind of focus on the fact that a lot of teams are coming in here struggling, and then there are some that are going to be kind of just going from nowhere to somewhere. Given the path that Vitality had last week, they've got a lot to show for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think Vitality is an interesting prospect considering how well they played, and I think it's a team that most recently have gotten better gradually. It's a team that started out a little bit slow, I would say. They didn't really live up to the expectations. Saibu had some individual problems, I will say, delivering on the biggest stage, but still not up to the level we saw last weekend where he was the MVP. So I feel Vitality is a team that is gradually getting better, and I think this is a tournament that's going to give them a test for what are they actually worth. Is it a top 5 team, or is it just a little bit too soon to expect that from them?
I'm kind of wondering what an MWP is.
It's what they do, they do the W instead of the V. It's same with they say AVP as well.
Be smart.
Yeah, but I think with Vitality, there was the time, right? Because with MBK there, before they brought Alex in, and now he's taken over the in-game leadership, they were starting a whole new project. So they built this from the ground up. They had to readdress the way that they were playing the game, because previously it was just very brawly. So there wasn't a base for this. But we obviously have Windigo as well, another team who had problems with visas, so Blocker won't be here, and they have to get Calyx standing in from Turkey. Now, his English isn't great as far as I'm aware.
It's not ideal.
So I assume they're not going to be communicating in Bulgarian. I assume the Bulgarians don't all know how to speak Turkish. So they're probably going to have to speak in some form of, jumbled English.
Rush B.
A lot of assumption there.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? That's the only thing that makes sense. I guess as well as positive visa news, Trace, Gratisfaction's back.
Yes, Gratisfaction is back on the side of Renegades. We're going to see what they've got on their hands today. We can start to look at some of the matches, at least coming up here in the short term. We do have some matches that include that of Vitality. In fact, the first one is going to be Vitality North. Over here on the A stream, which you'll see to the left, Vitality North, FaZe Clan Wendigo, Renegades G2, Fnatic Cloud9. Then you're going to see those two BO3s at the bottom. Those are both the Group A upper brackets semifinals. Now, in the second stream, you take a look at some teams like Liquid Nip, Furia and Isra is coming here trying to make a statement as well. And overall, which group are we thinking is harder?
I think that we have the better matches on the main stream, but on the secondary stream, I actually think that NRG versus Furia could be an absolute banger of a game, right? Because Furia have this really unique approach to the game where they add layers to their T-sided strategies. I'm really loving the stuff I'm seeing coming out from Art and Yuri and Queserato, all those names, versus NRG, who are a team who they've been on like a gradual incline constantly, but it feels like they take, one step forward, 2 steps back. They're never quite getting to that peak form, the energy with Breeze, with Ethan, that could possibly be reached.
Yeah, and speaking of that secondary stream, they do have Vince, and I believe it's Dust Moret over there covering that. So hats off to those guys.
This is his part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, give or take a couple hundred
up or
miles,
down.
But yeah,
it's a big country.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think you could fit a couple countries inside of Texas. This place is actually massive. Anything you guys like about Texas so far?
The food is pretty good.
I guess that's the best thing you can say about America in general.
Food.
Yeah. And the freedom, of course. Well, I never felt so liberated.
You look liberated, Chad. Your shirt tells me everything I need to know. But we need to hear a little bit more from Frankie. She's got some words for us. She's got us down on the sideline. She is our hand, the extension of the desk. Let's check in with Frankie.
I actually want to talk more about Chad's shirt because I've never seen him wear so many flowers. It's a good look for you, Chad. You should keep it up. It's summer already, to be honest. Now, I'm here in the player pens. Next to me, we've got North. They're setting up to play Vitality. They're in front of me just off the camera. And across the way, about to play on the B stream, we've got Liquid and Lucid Dream. The question is, Vitality, super confident at the moment, of course. They've just come fresh from their win at Summit. While North, it's their second LAN with a new IGL, Valda, and they did pretty well at Pro League. So these are two teams that are going to be feeling very, very good and feeling themselves today. The question is, who is going to feel themselves enough to take the first best of one? What do you guys think?
You know what? I think you could be onto something, Frankie, but we don't want to jump the gun just too fast here.
Well, there are a lot of guns in Texas as well, I suppose.
Yeah, that's also one part of the freedom here in Texas.
Is there like open carry here?
Yes, it is open carry. And you'll notice in some of the restaurants they have just like a gun with an X out cross through.
You
like
no open carry in here.
Yeah, that's one of the things to look out for. The other one would have to be, I mean, we've got the Rangers down the street, the Texas Rangers, but ultimately the only Grand Slam around here is the Intel Grand Slam.
Damn straight. And I think, this year, ever since it's restarted, the Pro League last year was when Astralis, they topped it off. They capped it, they grabbed it. They grabbed the first one here in Katowice, and then Liquid grabbed the second one in Sydney. And this is the best thing for Liquid with Astralis not being here. They could grab a second one if they can really knuckle down and get the victory here.
Yeah, this is a really good chance for Liquid to grab a part of that Intel Grand Slam. Of course, it takes 4. But let's go ahead and dive into a video that gives a little bit better of an explanation that we can about that Intel Grand Slam.
4 victories need to be won within 10 eligible events. If a team lifts a trophy on one of those, they have 9 events to collect 3 more in order to get the Intel Grand Slam. Victories that happened 10 events ago expire and no longer count. Every team's timeline starts with a tournament victory. That means every contender has their own timeline. The Intel Grand Slam is about marking a team's dominant era, and each group of players writes its own legacy. Once a team is just 1 victory away from completing the Intel Grand Slam, their opponents have an additional incentive to make it even harder. Any team that denies the competition of the Intel Grand Slam in a tournament final gets an additional $100,000 killer bonus added to their prize. But if a team is dominant enough to win 4 trophies in the past 10 events, they win the Intel Grand Slam, take home $1 million, and mark their era of CSGO. But it doesn't end there. After the Intel Grand Slam is achieved, the race resets for everybody. From the next tournament, all teams start fresh and the chase for 4 trophies starts anew.
You win 4 out of 10. That is the big goal at hand. Astralis, as Chad said, have grabbed 1 victory there in Katowice, also winning the major. I guess when you put those two together, that's a fantastic start to the year. And then Liquid picking up a win at Sydney, now having another chance to grab a notch towards 4 here in Dallas.
Well, something to note here, obviously, is that Astralis have chosen to skip Sydney and Dallas, right? They're going to be there in the finals in Montpellier for Pro League, and so will Liquid. But Liquid really have an opportunity here to get 1 ahead. Maybe this could be the plan of Astralis to make it interesting. They skip a couple of events to make the race a little bit closer.
You're saying they're doing it on purpose?
Yeah, they figured we'll give a team a 2-event head start, and we'll see if we can catch up.
And they say you're smart, Chad.
You know what?
Hey, man.
You never write off things like, weird sort of back rooms. So, hey,
it makes the story better, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's got to be tough for someone. It could be tough for these next teams. We got a whole day of Counter-Strike to get into. So the pre-show kind of needs to come to a head here. You guys got any idea of anything that you want to say before we jump right into this matchup?
We already did the yeehaws, so I'm pretty
got it out of the way?
good. Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Well, as long as you guys are happy, I'm happy with it, and that means that we can continue on. We do have our first matchup of the day, and it's going to be that of Vitality and North. I, for one, can't wait to see if Vitality can carry on with this same form that we saw in Los Angeles. That went a long way for Vitality, and it's going to be a mountain to climb here. North, on the other hand, just trying to get things started, and that's what we're going to do after the break. Join us.
Place your bets at gg.bet. Most popular esports titles. Deposit with convenient payment options. Cool mini games. And 24/7 support for players. Sign up now for the best esports bets at gg.bet.
right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to cs.money. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
Oh, sir, that was my grandma's. Ugh.
Don't worry, ma'am. All of your stuff is in okay hands.
Just okay?
Well, they don't give 2.5 stars to just anybody.
Here you go.
What's this?
It's your piano.
Hold this for a sec.
We don't have a piano.
No. But the neighbors do.
Just okay is not okay, especially when it comes to your network. AT&T is America's best wireless network according to America's biggest test. Now with 5G Evolution, the first step to 5G. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Try to make me fall, yeah. Don't make me look bad no more. No rearview mirrors here. I'm about to fall if I run through. Try to make me fall, yeah. As I'm running through this jungle, I see faces. I'm looking back at you, but you won't stop chasing. Don't make me look back no more. No rearview mirrors here. I'm about to fall if I run through all these barriers. Don't make me look bad no more. Try to make me fall, yeah. Don't make me look bad no more. No rearview mirrors here. I'm about to fall if I run through. Try to
Well, it is a bright 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside. That means it's 27 Celsius. And, well, the city of Dallas cannot contain its excitement for what is the DreamHack Masters. Ready to come back into Dallas is Counter-Strike, and this is the perfect opportunity. See the man mixing it up on the turntables. That's just the pregame. That's just what we're trying to dive into. Spinning the discs, 1 and 2 will be Vitality and North as we start jumping into this first matchup of the day. And both of these teams, in their own way, looking to make a statement in different ways, I think it's very fair to say. I do have Chad and Jacob here with me to kind of walk you into what will be the first matchup of the DreamHack Masters.
I think one of the most underplayed points of this entire format is how important this best of one is. Because if you lose this best of one, the gauntlet that you have to go through in the lower bracket just to qualify is nuts, right? You have to win best of threes in the most difficult scenario. It's like 3 best of threes to qualify from the lower bracket, which is definitely not any easy task at all.
Super rewarding to get through this in the first 2 BO1s, you know, and kind of make your way through it today. Get it out of the way. Find yourself a couple days off and really secure your path.
And that's what makes this game so interesting, because I feel both these teams have a fair shot at going through this group, right? I think North have shown most recently that they have a team play and a chemistry right now with Valde being the in-game leader. That is good.
Yeah, that is good. So is Group A. A is where we're starting. It's the first letter of the alphabet and the first group I have to show you. In case you weren't here for the pre-show, that's completely fine. We'll catch you up via the brackets, and this is how it's all going to unfold.
Yeah, I think the really biggest problem for me is that lower half of the bracket, having Wendigo and NIP both using stand-ins for their opening games in best-of-1 scenarios. So if you were going to put any stock in both of those teams, a little bit of that definitely has to go out the window, knowing that the stand-in factor will come into play. Tyloo without the coach of Jonta, I expect them to go back to more of a gnarly Asian aggressive style of Counter-Strike. And then obviously we're going to be getting Liquid potentially versus Vitality, the grand final of the Summit, happening very quickly.
Yeah, that could just be right here on accident. Like, oh, well, here we are.
We're back again.
Let's run it back. Let's do it all one more time. Again, if you get all the way to that winner's match, best of 3, that is today. At the very end of the day, you will qualify in for the arena.
Yeah, you're not through to the semis just yet. You have another game, I believe that's on the Thursday. The Wednesday or the Thursday, something like that, where you play for the upper bracket final to decide if you go to the semis or if you have to play within the quarters, which go down on the Friday.
Well, we're a long way from Friday. In fact, Tuesday here is where we're starting. This entire tournament culminates to what will be an Intel Grand Slam spot, what will be the champions of the DreamHack Masters, and it's all going to start with North and Vitality. We can't do that without knowing the maps. Again, this is going to be a best of 1, fellas.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we don't see Vertigo.
Yeah, me neither.
Look, it's
you guys really aren't living if you don't like Vertigo.
I like the map, you know, but I don't think in a best-of-1 environment to kick off the tournament, I don't think that's the place we want to be starting yet, and North don't want that either. They've banned that one out coming in here. We've got Trangon. We're going to look like we're going to be ending up towards potentially an overpass, which Vitality show... Yeah, okay, so it will be overpass. This is a map of Vitality that had some very good results on. I think that was one where Henry almost had to wear a dress. So we almost got 40 kills in that game at some of those. I think he finished on 37.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Henry in that moment just starting to, like...
quiver.
You know, like sweat and just really, oh God, what have I done to myself? Luckily, Zywoo slowed down because he was absolutely on his path to 40 in regulation. But as things stand, we know where we're going. We've got Overpass on the cards. We've got North to talk about first.
Yeah, and this North roster, just to catch everybody up, if you're not watching Counter-Strike or following all the news that's been going on, they've made yet another roster change. And it feels like once every 3 months they're chopping and changing a player, right? It may be an extended period than that, but that's what it feels like. And they've removed Cadian, the in-game leader, and they've made Valde, the star player, at least the most consistent from this roster for a period of time, now take over the helm. And they've brought in Yugi. Now, Yugi is someone, I don't know where you stand on him. Obviously, you would have had a chance to probably play with him, whether it just be in pickup games or whatever in the Danish scene. But I always had my eye on him from the online days, and I thought that his peak as an AWPer is very high.
Yeah, his op talents are something surreal, right, Jacob?
Yeah, I would say he's potentially the most skilled AWP player we have in Denmark, and I think he could be one of the best individual AWP players we could have in the world. The problem for him has always been the surroundings. He's a player that needs sort of comfort. He needs to be led in a way. He needs to have teammates that can help him to control the different aspects it requires to be a top-level Counter-Strike player, and he just haven't had that. You know, in Optic, it wasn't really a team that, at least from the outside, looked to have a good chemistry. You know, the Optic as an organization don't really take pride in being there for the team. It's based here in
do your
America.
own thing.
Do your own thing and do as good as you can, right? And unfortunately for them, it wasn't good. But I think coming into North, that's a good sign for him. I think he gets the comfort level he needs. I think he gets the right tools to work with. And I think Yugi hopefully can unleash that potential where I believe he could be one of the best players in the entire world if he really wants to.
And even just kind of taking a bigger picture overview to North lately, I mean, they're kind of on an upward trajectory. We got to see them take down Na'Vi in a best-of-3, albeit a very close one.
Yeah.
But it was still in LAN. It still qualifies for everything that giving a Na'Vi an L would qualify for.
And basically, Na'Vi didn't make it out of the Pro League group. If you look back at that loss with how close it was and the slow start for them, it was a factor which, you know, ultimately means they won't be at the finals in Montpellier. But all in all, I always put that little asterisk next to Na'Vi in the opening game. I ran through some numbers during the Pro League broadcast of all of their opening games throughout the year, and they've lost the majority of them, and even games that they've won have always been close in nature.
Well, this team, Vitality, all right, so they've made a couple ripples. They made a couple waves just now in Los Angeles. California treated them very well. And here is Vitality. Guys, nobody could have, I guess, foreshadowed that entire run they just made at Summit, but now they come into the Masters, and they're going to have to keep that form up.
They have to solidify themselves. They have to do it all over again. I mean, winning Summit is a big achievement, but it doesn't really mean anything if you can't follow it up with another strong performance, especially for this Vitality lineup. All we hear them talking about in public is how they want to keep adding on levels to the gameplay, so to speak, is how they want to keep progressing as a team. They don't feel necessarily themselves that they're top 5 team right now, despite having the rank.
Yep.
They want to prove that they can gradually get better, and if they fail to do that at a tournament like this, where there's so many competitive teams, that would be a big loss for them.
Well, Chad, the interesting part is this, right? We've always kind of leaned on ZywOo being this young prodigy, and he's really kind of carrying them to new heights, this, that, and the other. But in all actuality, this past week, it was Apex and RPK stepping up in big ways.
Yeah, and obviously that needs to be the case, right? A team can't just be carried by one man, no matter how good ZywOo is as an individual. Even though he was closing out the games for them, the other parts need to show up. And Apex, in terms of an in-game, sorry, not an in-game leader, an entry fragger, is somebody who, if you're feeling the game, if everything is comfortable for you and you know that you can go for those kind of plays, then you are going to find more room. You're going to find more opening kills. RPK having a showing of form. Now, this has happened more like blips on a radar in his CSGO career as opposed to continuous. So this needs to be the start of something good if the French want to be able to stay a top team within Counter-Strike. He needs to be a consistent force. So does that of Mr. Apex, MBK, and then Alex, obviously, kind of sharing the captainship and in-game leader side of things.
Which is what we learned about Alex and the entire leadership aspect of Vitality, is that they are kind of splitting it between Nathan on some maps, and then they have Alex, who has come in here and sort of given them something to work with, which is pretty nice, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know if you have a take on that yet, but I've never been on a team where you kind of like shared the roles on different maps. I would like to have a guy you can always go to being the end leader. You know, if anything is being debated, there should be a guy who have that overall say. And I'm not sure if that's going to work on the long term.
Well, I look, everybody's understanding of the situation is a little bit different. Now, from MBK, he messaged me while I was doing the HTV to Confirm podcast a while ago saying that what they did was, it's the only map that Alex wasn't in-game leading on was Inferno. And that's because he didn't play that in the previous teams that he was in. And Nathan was doing the in-game leading on the CT side, right? Which is more about calling setups as opposed to, you know, mid-round calling and all that kind of stuff. And Alex coming in, I think he changed, we saw this on the Summit Couch actually, he mentioned that he changed a lot of the strategies that they were running on their T side.
Well, it is one thing that they kind of decided to delegate that leadership. And as long as there's an understanding, I can see where it's a world that it works. It does create sort of that symbiotic relationship between the two of them, and perhaps they can carry it forward. Maybe they can always head north, which is where we're going next. We're going to talk about the Danes. I know that's a big thing for you, Jacob, so please do tell us about the Danes.
I mean, I think it's very underrated how we talk about Valde and being the in-game leader. I think Yuki coming into the team, obviously, that could release him. That could be a great move for him personally, but also for the team of North. But Valde is taking a very big risk here being the new in-game leader. This was a guy that by many was seen as the new star player in Denmark. By many was seen as the player to replace whoever needed to be replaced in Astralis, whenever that needs to happen. Now, he's taking a big risk here going in being the in-game leader. If that doesn't work out, sure thing, he can always go back to being the star rifler for a team. He will always have a place in North, but is Astralis or is a team like Faces, they're going to look different on him if he doesn't perform well as an in-game leader, because he was headed there.
Yeah, well, look, I think that I've seen some people making comments online that when you go to an in-game leader, it changes your perception of the game. Now, I think that, and you can probably attest to this better than what I can, Valde looks like an individual. At least he displays himself or fronts himself in the public eye as somebody with leadership qualities.
Yes.
So I think his decision to go to the in-game leadership role is one that he actually wants as a challenge, right? Whereas I've seen it in the past where like Hobbit did it or Adren did it, it was out of necessity. Whereas Valde, I think, you know, with the options available, this was a decision that he felt comfortable taking, similar to what Azza did with Renegades, right?
Right. And, you know, the interesting part about anyone picking up the leadership role is the fact that they're also realizing, hey, man, this is a big-time job. This requires a lot of attention to detail. and requires a lot more than you just logging into the server, hitting a couple op shots, hitting a couple, whatever, and then logging out.
I definitely agree, and I think he's more than mature for it. I think Valde is going to be a great in-game leader, but thinking of the perspective, it is to me a big chance to take as a player when you're in such a good position. He was playing so well. He was one of the best players in the world, I would even say, one of the most consistent players in his role. And now he's taking a new role. And as you said, it is a new challenge for him. But is it... To me, I just find it a little bit interesting to see that he has the courage to do it, especially considering how well or not well North have performed over the years. It's a big task.
It is a risk.
It takes a lot of encouragement and it takes a lot of cojones, so to speak, to do it.
Well, I know some people with some cojones, and they are in the Twitch chat right now, and they do want to cast their votes. They do want to spam the chat. I know how you guys get down in there. That's going to be !VIT for Vitality or !NOR for North. Tell us who you think is going to win. We're going to reveal those results live here on air. And in the meantime, I can begin to talk to you guys about who's going to be winning here on Overpass. Jacob?
I think Vitality right now is the better team. So I think they'll win, and I think North don't have anything that can counter Saibu. I think he's simply too good right now. I think Yugi still needs some more time to get that confidence back. I think in the future, it could be a much more interesting lineup or matchup. But right now, after what I saw in California as well, Vitality is going to win this.
Okay, well, don't pull too many strings right there, because I really think that you're going to need to recenter yourself on that one, Jacob. You're going to have to really think about it. I'm not convinced. You didn't convince me, and you probably didn't convince the viewers. That's unfortunately the reality of it. So we'll revisit it. In the meantime, we're taking just a few extra seconds
here. The odds agree with Jacob. The odds are on the side there of Vitality. But for me, coming into this one, I love always making an Anders prediction. And an Anders prediction is where you just say something completely ludicrous, something completely outlandish, and then from there, when it comes right, you brag about it, right? When it comes wrong, no one ever talks about it. But if you're right, then you shout it from the rooftops.
Big risk it to get the biscuit, I think, is the saying they would have here in Texas. They do like their biscuits around here. Guys, I need your predictions. These are going to be GG.bet predictions, so make sure that Jacob, are you ready for a second go? You want to let Chad get this one first?
Chad, go ahead.
I think that North are going to win this game. Now, I agree with Jacob that Zaiwu is the best player in the server. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's a little bit of a LAN hangover that comes into play, right? You just won a tournament a day ago. Like we're talking 48 hours. Yeah, no, not even 36 hours. Then they had to fly. It's not a long flight, but it is a flight nonetheless. And coming into this, North is sitting there. They're watching all their games on Overpass. You haven't had time, if you're Vitality, to do the same level of research as what North have had to do for Vitality, right? Vitality can't prepare for North in the same way. Yeah. So I think that North are going to be more prepared, and I think they're going to come out swinging in this one, make a statement.
You know what? I think you could be onto something, Chad. Now, Jacob, you want to give it another go?
I would agree with that sentiment, and I do agree with the fact that obviously North have better conditions to prepare for Vitality. One thing I do note, though, is that North have been saying in pretty much all interviews that they want to play their own game now. They're tired of doing all the anti-sweating. They're tired of always worrying about the team they're playing. So, yeah, they have the option, but I don't think they're going with it. And I think Vitality right now is simply just the better team, and I think Saibu is too good to be messed with.
Okay, so we have a house divided thus far. And
do you have to do a prediction?
I'm pretty sure I'm also on the prediction game, which... take it as a grain of salt here, but after what I just saw from Vitality, if they actually have more than just Zaiwu stepping up in a big way when it comes to the fragging numbers, if they have this whole system ironed out and it's working for them, well, they looked pretty damn good. So I'm going to have to go with Vitality as well. I think the Frenchmen are going to take it over the Danes here. No offense to you, Jacob. Or
I knew you were a smart man. It's all right.
Okay, well, I guess we got that figured out. Let's see what you thought in the chat. I did ask you to vote, and I did ask you to kind of really put your heart and soul out there on the line as to who you were voting for. And these are the
with
results.
Your anonymous Twitch usernames.
Yes, anonymous. That's what usernames on the internet are for. And here, they're going to be used to gauge that Vitality are actually 70-30 over. So does that feel right?
I think that considering what we've just seen, right? Everyone's going, wow, they just beat Liquid in the final. They took down Ants. They beat all these names, right? But it's too much too soon. I've been on the Vitality train the entire time. I like the project. I think they're in the right direction. I think having Nathan there is fantastic. But I also think that the factors with these guys is they're still an inexperienced team of 5. They're not inexperienced members, right? Everybody in the team has definitely played at this level, besides Alex and Zaiwu on a consistent basis, but they've been ramping up. The other 3 of them are the backbone of the squad. They have that in their back pocket to go off, but this is still a new frontier for them. We just won a tournament, and we fly to win next one. Can we do it again, right? Can we prove it again?
Can we recreate what we had going for us in Los Angeles here in Texas? I think that will be.
It might be more humid here, Trace.
Oh, it's definitely more humid here.
What if that plays a factor, right? You never know. The mouse pads get a bit sticky.
Yeah, I mean, losing his mind. Are you guys a fan of like taking a shower and then you get out and you're sweating already? Because that's what humidity's all about, baby.
Jacob, do you like sweating?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Okay, there's a sauna here.
Okay. Well, we'll let you hang out in the sauna. We'll let you do your own thing. In the meantime, we do need to bring in our next two gentlemen. In fact, probably just jump right into the game. It's Overpass. I've got Moses and Anders, the dream duo to die for.
The Creamy Bears.
The Creamy Bears. All of the memes you can think of. What's going on, fellas?